So that brings us to citizens' comments. Did we have anything written in, Kate? Okay, thank you. And if we could have roll call.
Jamie Allen.
Here.
Ryan Dodson.
Here.
Ryan Flynn.
Here.
Keith Ravenberg.
Here.
Keith Slusser.
Here.
Lindsey Spencer.
Here.
Carrie Trostle.
Here. Okay, if I could have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as outlined. Second.
Discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is approved, so that moves us into superintendent's report.
Yeah, we'd like to begin this evening. Dr. Triphammer is going to report on the new district strategic plan.
All right, thanks for letting me visit with you this evening. Kind of want to go over kind of an overview of the process, and I'll kind of explain how we got to this document, and then I'll kind of work through that document. So, and then we'll talk about next steps. So here we go. The process was, I have to say, very comprehensive. It was conducted by HYA and Associates. It was led by our lead consultant was Dr. Sarah Jerome. She was is a retired superintendent with extensive experience in strategic planning. So it was pretty evident that this was not her first rodeo. She was able to collect a lot of information and work with our large group to really craft a really good plan. So from my own personal standpoint, I was really impressed with the way she was able to conduct this whole process. The process really started with eliciting feedback from the community and a wide variety of stakeholders within Brentwood. And that data collection was really both on the qualitative side through the use of surveys, the quantitative side with surveys, and the qualitative side with personal interviews and in-person focus groups, which I think is also worth noting that Dr. Jerome lives out of state, and so she made an effort to come locally for 2 days to conduct all of those interviews and focus groups. So on the survey side, HYA surveyed, like I said, a variety of stakeholders, including district administrators, community members, parents of students themselves, support staff, and teachers. And really there was 4 big buckets that the survey was aiming to kind of elicit feedback on. And it was the state of the district, priorities for the future, the quality of programs in the district, and equity issues in the district. The other piece, as I mentioned, was that qualitative data where she did interviews and focus groups. And again, she came in person, Dr. Jerome did, into the district to conduct these for 2 days. She had personal interviews with, I think, all of you. And then she also met with the district administrators as well. And then she met with focus groups that consisted of, one group was community members, we had another group of parents, she again met with the entire administrative team, she met with a group of teachers, she had support staff, and she met with a group of students. So, I mean, this is, the spirit and intent of a comprehensive school improvement plan is that you truly garner, the voices of everyone in your community, and I think they did a really good job of that. In those interviews and focus groups, she was really focused on three main aspects: the current strengths of the districts, opportunities for growth, and really kind of what is the vision? How do people see this district, 5 years from now? So really, all of this information was then summarized by HYA and then distributed to a strategic plan steering committee for their review in advance of some 2 full days of in-work sessions. And then that led to what I'd like to talk about next is we had 2 full days in December where the steering committee met. And I would like to recognize the members, even though they're not here. I still think it's worth recognizing. First, from our Board of Education, Jamie Allen was there, Ryan Flynn was there, Carrie Trostle, and Lindsey Spencer. On parents, we had Brandon Wegge, Jenny Gronsky, Keisa Dotson, and Katie Spall. And then on the teachers and administrators on this team, Libby Wilson was there, Doug Wayner, Lindsey Thomas, Zia Hamden, Tony Dobson, Andrew Miller, Matt Nord, and myself. So,
yeah, it was a great group.
It was fantastic. And it was very easy. It was 2 full days, and it was in 2 days in December, the 1st and the 15th. And really, we were charged. That committee was charged with the task of really creating this document that I promise I will get to. But really, what Sarah did with that group was have us analyze the data that they collected, again, from the surveys and all of the focus groups that she had conducted. And really, when you do that kind of research, you're trying to identify themes that kind of pop out. And I think she did a good job of kind of guiding us to those themes. and we really got deep into the weeds. And we had deep discussions, sometimes courteous and I'd say professional debate over certain words. And for the life of me, I can't remember the one that you lost out on, Ryan, but
Yeah.
it was
I lost out on a couple.
very
No one's
spirited.
counting.
We were laughing then, but it was all, I mean, it was just 16 folks that were really focused on where do we want to go with this district. And yeah, we've spent literally half an hour over one word, but it made that much of a difference. And I think what you'll see in this document was Sarah's ability to bring everyone into that group. Everyone, I felt, had a voice. They were able to contribute, and she kind of expected that from everyone in that process. And then ultimately, we came up with this document here that is it's kind of the essential components of a 5-year strategic plan. It includes vision, mission, priorities, and objectives. So now that's the preamble. I can kind of get into that. Kate, if you don't mind, are you able to scroll down just a little bit? So we have an opening statement that kind of sets the tone for the strategic plan. It says the Brentwood School District is a unique collection of exceptional students, dedicated staff, supportive families, engaged alumni, and vibrant community members. Together, we are unified in our commitment to learning, growth, and achievement for all students. Our vision, mission, and values define our work and guide our shared journey toward future success. Our vision is simply this: passion, purpose, pathways for success. Our mission is that we inspire every learner every day to thrive academically, socially, and emotionally in a supportive and inclusive community. So that kind of sets the tone for the actual priorities and objectives. And if we can scroll down just a little bit. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't want to miss the value statements. As a district, we value the individuality of each learner, a diverse, equitable, inclusive, and accessible learning environment, authentic and personalized learning experiences, the contributions of our community, open communication, and mutual respect. So when it comes down to it, we have 4 priorities or 4 buckets or 4 pillars, whatever buzzword you want to use. And again, this took some time for us to kind of flesh these 4 things out, but it broke down into these 4 areas. School culture, where we nurture a kind and respectful environment for all. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, we assure that a sense of dignity and belonging for all. Student success, we maximize student learning, growth, and achievement. And we have a unified community engagement where we connect our community to achieve these shared goals. So we can go a little bit further down. So then we kind of use those 4 pillars to kind of really come up with objectives for each of those. And those objectives will help, I'll talk about next steps, but those objectives will kind of help our team kind of dive even deeper into it. So we'll take school culture. Kate, if you can scroll down, just, I see, we're going to do one at a time. So we have about 4 objectives in each of those different pillars. So it's under school culture, we're going to create a culture of social positivity, belonging, and growth mindset, supported by social emotional learning programming. We're going to increase student enrollment and retention for grades 6 through 12, support and value teachers and staff, and enhance student empowerment and personal accountability. On diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility, our first objective is to develop a diverse and culturally competent school community by providing continuous learning opportunities. We're going to recruit highly qualified staff from different backgrounds, support access to resources that are culturally diverse, ensure historically marginalized groups are regularly discussed in learning activities. The next pillar is student success. The first objective under that is to provide innovative teaching and learning experiences and opportunities. Second, foster individual learning pathways, celebrate our academic and extracurricular success stories, and develop non-academic programming for students in grades pre-K through 12. And then finally, the last pillar is unified community engagement. The first objective under that is to communicate effectively with all audiences on a regular schedule, promote a cohesive district brand, coordinate school and district organizations, including fundraising opportunities and volunteers, and develop school community partnerships, including fundraising and engagement opportunities. And that is the bones, if you will, of the strategic plan. I will say, given our district size, Dr. Jerome cautioned our group to be economical with the number of priorities and objectives that we actually put pen to paper. And even if we were a large school district, I think that was her advice, that this thing can't be so massive that you can't actually achieve some of these priorities and objectives. So that's how we got to these four, and underneath each of those four pillars, we have four objectives. I think in the end, not only will this document meet DESE's MSIP requirements, I think more importantly, this really serves as a good blueprint and a way to guide the district over the next 5 years. So really, there are a few more next steps. I guess the first one would be tonight to have the board approve this plan. And then there's, the real work then begins from here, is that under each of these priorities and objectives now, our task as a staff now is to develop those action steps that will support every one of those pillars.
Sounds great. If we could have a motion to approve the strategic plan.
I move that we approve the strategic plan for 2024 through 2029 as outlined.
Second.
All right, discussion.
So a couple pieces that's still HYI, just clarification, so HYA is still on the hook for us to come back. We have a dashboard that will get built out,
Yes.
right? So as the building leads, et cetera, work through specific plans against each of these, I assume there's working sessions, and then ultimately we will have a dashboard that's available to not only us, but the whole community, right?
That's the next piece that HYA is committed to doing for us.
So what we're approving tonight is what you're showing us.
The pillars and what we're seeing.
That's it, and then more things everybody will be doing stuff to fill in this stuff. Are these things gonna come back to us for approval, like on column number two, we're doing this and this and this? Or how is that all gonna work?
My recommendation would be that over the next few months, that the leadership team and all the appropriate people would work on action steps, including, specific SMART goals within those, who's responsible, and some timelines, and then ultimately that would come back. I would say, I would aim for, perhaps May of this year. You could also get some of the new superintendent input on that as well with that timeline, bring it back for final, approval to the board at that time.
And I think HYA is still involved in some of those conversations, helping guide that.
Yeah,
Correct?
Dr. Kimball would have some involvement, and then at that point, then they could take that, build the dashboard, and start tracking progress towards that.
So just a point of clarity, because I think maybe I'm a little bit confused. So I thought HIA was going to come back in with the steering committee to flush out some high-level goals, key performance indicators, KPIs, based on those objectives. And then they were then going to build a dashboard that we can measure against. And on top of that, then that's when the rest of the staff will get together and formulate how to achieve those KPIs. Are we saying the same thing but differently? I just want to make sure, because
Well, you can jump in.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple different ways, and so we could decide to do that, like who would be in making those next decisions for those next steps, if that's going to be the strategic planning group that we have had, that we pulled together, or if we want to have the administrative team and some of their staff also looking at what those goals are and how to achieve some of them. So we,
okay. Well, I guess my question would be, what was HYA's recommendation on that?
So Sarah, I have talked to her a little bit, and she had thought that perhaps the strategic planning group would do that first round, but
So the steering committee?
the steering
Okay.
committee.
Yep.
But we can modify that if we want to, or we can have a further
Sure.
conversation about that.
Okay.
But you guys can, it can be done either way you want. Now, I heard something a little different from Kimball.
Okay.
She said districts do it either way, and you guys just need to decide with that 16 people in that room, is that the best, with you, it's, you get diverse backgrounds, which is good, but then this is getting pretty deep into the weeds. So you guys just have to determine, do you think that's the best use of those people's times? How much are they just gonna be sidelined and listening to the educators that do this for a living? Versus how much do you want that to come back to you all for final approval? And I think you can debate, I think you could debate that.
But I think, Ryan, I tend to, I think
That
my
makes sense.
understanding was aligned with you is that group, or some part of that group would come up with look, this is all great if we approve this, but these are particularly next year, these are the KPIs that we need to measure against, right? Because we can't have 100 KPIs, because that's not measurable, actionable,
No.
et cetera. But the point would be, here's the KPIs, and then leave it to the experts to go say, all right, what do we need to go do to,
Achieve those goals.
Achieve those.
Yes,
and that would get pushed down. That's not
correct.
the role of the 16 on the committee.
It's the bottom,
It's the,
or top-down
Yeah.
approach, right?
I have a question. Can we clarify what KPI stands for?
key performance indicator.
Thank you.
So
Ryan-
against-
Ryan started that.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry.
didn't know, and I want everybody else to know what we're talking about it for.
No, that's a really good point. So if we align with these pillars, the objectives and priorities, then you pick for the next year, 4 or 5 things, whatever that is. But it's gotta be something that is actionable, measurable, and achievable. And then the neat thing is HYA puts up a dashboard. So I'm gonna totally make this up, but let's say that a KPI was we need to increase enrollment for grades. That dashboard then shows up, and what gets shown is, hey, next year enrollments go up against it, and you see whether we did that or we did not. And it's linked to our website, everyone has a visibility to it, and we are not, I mean, that's what we agreed was gonna be our KPI for the next year. And then the neat thing is superintendent's performance, and then their staff can be all hung off of that.
I think it's the high-level KPI,
Yeah.
and then it's all those different action items that the staff and everybody else comes up with.
Yeah.
And they're measured on those individuals that rolls up to the high-level KPI, so.
Well, then, Lindsay, maybe you could tell one of us to talk to Sarah and or Lori and see what that next
The appropriate next step is.
meeting would
when.
be to hit those high-level KPIs with that group. I'm assuming one more meeting, whether Zoom or in person, to,
Yeah, it'd be good to have that group provide input in what success to the toward these should be.
I agree.
Yeah.
But I think the caution is we don't want that group can't be in the weeds, because we don't know, that group of
Yeah.
16 doesn't know tactically what to go do, but
Well,
yeah,
that gives, marching orders.
That's right.
It's a
for others
strategic
to
thing.
that's exactly right,
Know, plan towards.
that's right.
So how will we roll this out to the community? Will this go out in the communication and this is it and we're working on from there? Or how is that gonna happen?
I don't know that we had that conversation. It's a good question. I think once the board approves it, then we start slowly rolling these pieces out.
So that's
I
exactly
think
what we talked about.
I'll take that to
That's right.
communication
That's
committee,
exactly what we
and we'll
talked
talk
about, yeah.
about that, because I think it's gonna be a
That's right.
combination of education on what we're doing
That's
here, and then pulling that dashboard in. So I think we're just a little bit, probably too soon to get all of that out there, but
When we
we'll
do,
talk
can
about
we-
it.
Can we publicly thank the community people who helped?
Oh,
us?
absolutely.
So we talked
Yeah.
about all of that.
Yeah.
So this is step 1 in the communication, is if the board approves it, it's public. And step 2, we talked about exactly that. Ryan, Tony, the communication committee
Yeah.
would go run with how best do we get that out.
And generally, Sarah said that, all of this information goes out to the community, so everything we've done, and they have a great look at all of the information we've collected and how we came up with a strategic plan.
Yeah, I don't know. I will say, sitting through it, it was a very, I've sat through a lot of these, it was very good. Everyone was very open. There were rough, tough, that's not the right word, but everyone there were lots of different opinions, so I think this is a really good work product.
I would agree. I thought it was a fantastic meeting. I mean, yes, it was long, but the time went by really quick.
Yeah.
Everybody was very, very engaged, and some of those challenging conversations that you have during that time, that's when the best stuff comes out, and I think that's what we've got here is all the best stuff. So I was really impressed.
I agree. It's great.
Well, good job. I'm glad you guys did it. I'm not good at
All right, well, for the board, everyone in favor of approving the new and improved strategic plan, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, that's approved. Thank you for
Thank
presenting
you,
that.
Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
All right, we have a couple items for Mr. Norrid.
Good evening. Each year we bring forward our umbrella policy. Last month we brought forward our music insurance policy for general liability package and workers' compensation. Our umbrella policy is an excess coverage that goes with all our general liability coverages. It does not add additional coverage for cyber, but all of our other criterion, it does provide $8 million. The increase from the previous year is de minimis. Like I said, the coverage is $8 million for our commercial package. The amount that we're asking for approval this year is $3,521.
I move that we approve the umbrella insurance coverage.
Second,
Discussion?
what do most school districts go with? I mean, are there higher policies and we just happen to get the 1 through 8 quote, or?
It's
What's-
varied, so you're permitted to purchase varied levels of umbrella policies, but you're not required to purchase any of them. So in a catastrophic situation, this would be coverages that would be in excess of what the limits are for the coverages. And it's also a policy that's not actually through the consortium, it's in excess too.
So most of it then is based upon, Winsville getting an $8 million policy is not worth much to them. It's not big, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of scaled for, there could be other districts with much larger.
So for us, it's relatively affordable, but like you said, if you're the size of Wentzville or a larger school district, it's all based on your cost, and it's all based on units. So we have significant assets, but comparatively, they're small. And again, this is an excess policy, so it is quite a bit less than what we brought forward last month.
All right. Any other
But your
questions?
opinion is this is appropriate coverage for us, given the cost
So
of insurance?
because of the risk associated with music being a consortium, my recommendation would be to pursue the additional $8 million.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is approved.
All right, now I believe we're required to set tuition rates.
So each year prior to, according to policy, before February 1st, we're required to set a tuition rate. This tuition rate is based upon our annual Secretary of Board report, which was approved back in August. And we also, this information was audited as part of our 22-23 audit report. We do have an amount that's up for recommendation. So when we do our calculation, which was attached with this, we do our calculation based on each core grade level. But we ask for approval based on a single rate. So even though that's part of the calculation, that still comes into the total tuition. This year's tuition was an increase based comparatively to the prior year. The tuition rate that we're asking for approval for the 24-25 year is $30,548.
I move that we approve the BSD tuition rates for 24-25 as outlined.
Second.
Discussion?
So every year we talk about this, right? This is a statutory requirement. DESI's enforcing this, so all we're doing at this point is in compliance, and this is just a mathematical exercise.
So our policy does not, we currently do not allow tuition-based students.
Right.
So yes, this is due process only.
The only way it would ever come into play, which is highly unlikely, but also by statute, if someone owns property in the district but does not reside in that district, that money, and they're paying towards taxes on that
Yeah.
property or properties could go as part of the tuition rate. We've never had anyone asked to do that here since I've been here in Brentwood, but that is just in case that ever comes up, that is allowed by law.
If the district were ever, I know we've talked about this before, so, but if the district were, if we were to decide that we did want to open enrollment, take aside all the other things that need to be thought about, are we required to, and this is the tuition, or my understanding is we have flexibility then at that point to also set whatever rate we want. This is strictly being adherent to the requirement. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you would have, a district would have the ability based on what the community would support.
Right.
In terms of setting those, if you recall back.
Yep.
When we had some schools go unaccredited, districts made kind of a unilateral decision to accept a certain tuition from those districts for those students, so.
So really the only purpose for us approving it is for the case that Brian mentioned earlier. If somebody outside the district is coming in, or they own land, and then that they would be taxed based on this amount.
So this is more common with like a K-8 district, where you would charge an incoming school that needs to send their kids to another location.
Oh, okay.
You would backfill. But this is all, the residency situation or the minimal property ownership situation is also an example.
Okay.
It sets a basis, it gives us a formula for how to apply that tuition, and then if we have further discussion from that point, adjusting accordingly. But this gives us our basis.
And to what you said, I mean, if we have a neighboring school district become unaccredited, and we have this as a basis to start from, I mean, we can change it from there, but at least we can start with this is what it costs.
Right.
Yes.
And go from there. But if we're doing it for other reasons, we can decide what
Have
we need to
decisions that-
decide.
yeah.
Okay.
My understanding, the initial rationale for this was accreditation.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was remembering too. When I was first on the school board, there was a number and it was way below it was somebody, I don't know where somebody picked a number out of midair, and there were a few kids that were coming for one reason. It was a long time ago, before you were born.
Just one other point of clarification, on the math side of this, in terms of the numerator, or, this is not just, is this just operations? What funds are in this?
There is a certain amount of debt
All right.
service, and there is a certain amount of capital projects. Our bond dollars are not included.
Yes. So this is a number that is out in the forum, and you will see people reference Clayton, Ladue, Brentwood at 30-some thousand a year. The just awareness, debt service numbers are in there, and that because we have a fair amount of debt service right now, that inflates the numerator, which can become a little misleading. So just for
Very much
public
so.
awareness, like if somebody had asked a question about this, and my point was, well, we've taken out a whole bunch of debt that's in the numerator, and it's just a mathematical exercise, right? Numerator over number of students, and that throws us way out of whack, for lack of a better
Because
word.
it's gone up a lot in the past 3 years.
Yes, so if we
Price per
were,
student.
right, so if we ever were to entertain bringing other students, I would argue the debt service side comes out, right? Tuition should be, what does it cost to go educate the kids outside of debt service, right? And that number would be a different number.
The incremental additional cost of one more student is a heck of a lot less than that.
Oh, for
Correct.
sure, yeah.
But that's, the only point I bring that up is you'll see this 30,000 gets published now because it's an accreditation thing, and that really, our community will come back and say, oh my gosh, you get $30,000 a year per kid. Well, that's not it.
So when we're comparing ourselves to other schools then, where does this 30,000 kind of lie with Clayton, Ladue,
I would have to
Maplewood.
survey our peers. So that's not information. So we communicate it, like when we have our strategic planning process, we
Yeah.
can communicate that. And it does get reported as part of some Missouri comprehensive data.
and
Typically, that's about a year later than when we're recommending.
But historically, where are we?
We've
Pretty-
always been like.
pretty high.
I was going to say,
We're high.
right.
We're high. We looked at this, in fact, we were talking about the original bond and all of this, part of our argument for, how we're marketing this, but it's always been very high. But if you take debt service out, we are super fortunate. It's been high because we do have pretty high revenue for our students.
Yeah.
The methodology you calculate this by, is that statutorily?
So the formula that we presented is actually a Department of Elementary and Secondary Education format. So we're following their methodology and their instructions. So the thing that you'll see is, so for instance, we don't include bonds, so we don't include non-reoccurring costs in this. These should be costs that are associated with something that's comparative to the prior year.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the tuition rate is set.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Matt, appreciate it.
All right. So that brings us into Board of Education. The first item is school board candidates. We do not have anyone running for the school board election at this time, and we'll have some more information on the implications of that and how that plays out for our April 2nd election in the near future. MSBA delegate report.
I don't really have anything.
Okay. Board committee updates. Be quiet. Not
Yeah.
quiet. I know it's not quiet. I know it's busy. So, but you
Yeah.
haven't met recently. Okay.
We had a curriculum meeting and then we're having another one next week.
Actually, tomorrow.
Actually, this week.
Tomorrow
You're right,
at
it's
6
tomorrow.
o'clock. I had to look, Keith, so don't worry. I
We're
knew,
having one next week too?
no. So tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
All right, we're confused and we're meeting. That's
Wonderful.
I would say were. You may wanna
We had so
qualify
many
that
great
differently.
things to talk about. We had to put another one on
That's good.
the books so that we could go over everything that needed to be discussed. So that is a good problem.
Okay. Great. All right. We've got information on Missouri Ethics Commission annual filing. It's linked in your agenda, and then upcoming events for our board. Mostly, they will be superintendent search meetings coming up over the next couple weeks.
Can I ask, I thought on the 22nd and 23rd, those were originally, I had them as Zoom meetings, I guess they're gonna be in person now,
The 22nd and 23rd.
when we originally discussed it.
Yes, those are going to be over Zoom.
Okay.
Yes.
Are they Zoom and we are off-site, or is it Zoom and we are in the same building and we're going to intervene together sometime?
No, I think we're off-site because we come together on Wednesday, the 24th to discuss. So you can be wherever you'd like to be. If people wanted to be here on campus in a room, if anyone wanted to do that, I'm sure we could make that a possibility.
Sure.
Do that.
We have a room reserved for all these meetings.
Okay. Okay. All right. Any other questions about upcoming dates?
I don't have anything about the dates. But I was confused on our agenda under the strategic plan. Can I go back and ask a question? So on the survey results and the interview results, are we going to also post that somewhere? Because that was one thing that I've heard from a lot of parents, that we do all these surveys, we ask all these questions, but we never share the results. So is that something that we can just talk about as part of the strategic plan with the group, and how we'll post that? Because I do think that is important if we're hearing that from the community and we're doing these surveys, to then go ahead and post what our data that we use to make these work.
I think that's great. And Sarah, our consultant, did say districts do post that information to the public after they've done this process. That would be her recommendation too, because you've asked for the information, and making it available is her recommendation.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to.
Okay. Anything else? If I could get a motion to adjourn to closed session.
I move that we close and move into closed session I move that we adjourn and move into closed session for the reasons stated.
Second.
All right, if we could have roll call, please.
Jamie Allen,
Yes.
Ryan Dodson,
Yes.
Ryan Flynn,
Yes.
Keith Ravenberg,
Yes.
Keith Slesser,
Yes.
Lindsey Spencer,
Yes.
Debbie Cross.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
That's all?
Thank you.
Drive safely.